days or years vision was Mr. Ron Cao from Skyline Capital, Mr. Yong Liu from Reku, Mr. Henry Xu from Link VC, and Mr. Eugene Zhang from TSVC. And this panel will be moderated by Ms. Jen Cao from JLab of JD Capital. Before we proceed, please allow me to remind you again that you can send your questions by scanning the QR code on the agenda, join the discussion, and log in. You can send your questions to the moderator. And for the moderator, you can see the questions on the screen, so feel free to check the screen anytime for the most liked questions. All right, let's welcome the speakers. Welcome.
Hi, welcome everyone. This is Jen from JLab of JD Capital. And this will be a very interesting panel. So, because there's a lot of situation happening between trading and investing. So previously the panel name is trading or investing, but actually I suggest that we should do it at the same time. So we change the title into trading and investing. So let's let the speakers to introduce themselves.
My name is Patrick. We are a cryptocurrency exchange based in Tokyo and Seoul in South Korea. We have license in South Korea, and we are applying license in Japan. We also have license in Europe, some area in Europe as well. I think today I saw the portfolio of speaker. Most of them are from the venture capital background. I myself are from the exchange, so I'm kind of unique right here. But I think I could add some value to this panel.
Hi, I'm Eugene Zhang, founding partner of TSVC and TIC Angel Fund, micro VC fund in Silicon Valley for the last 7.5 years. I represented the investing side, not the trading side.
Hello everyone, my name is Ron Cao. I am a partner with Skyline Capital. As they say in China, we're a 古典投资基金. We're a classic venture capital firm in this setting. So we invest mostly in equity, but since 2013 we've been investing in blockchain and crypto-related deals. And looking back, it was actually pretty early, and now things are booming. And I think there's a lot of interesting questions for us classic VCs, that we need to deal with in terms of how you structure deals, how you look at crypto versus equity, what's the mix, and how do we go forward in this sort of brave new world in some ways.
Hello everyone, my name is Henry Xu, the venture partner of Link VC. Link Venture Capital is a token fund founded by Jia Pengli in 2016 in Singapore. And we headquartered in Singapore, but we also have offices in Hong Kong, Beijing, and the United States. We focus on investing blockchain technology, fintech, and cryptocurrencies. Last year, we already invested in more than 50 projects on blockchain all over the world.
Yeah, a little bit information about myself. I come from traditional investing as well as some of our panelists. And now I joined JD Capital, which is one of the largest private equity group in China. And we have a blockchain vertical called JLab. So we actually actively invest for over 30 blockchain companies in Asia, Switzerland, and now in US as well. So we have a team of 20, and some of them are investment bankers background, and some of them were trading previously. Now we also have a trading team, and on the investment side as well. So I traveled back to China 2 weeks ago, around Spring Festival, and then actually I generated a lot of really interesting conversation. Back in Beijing, I was in some top tier funds, Sequoia, Matrix, and Zhenfang. They actually actively looking into this space. So a lot of our panelists come from the traditional venture background. The first is I'm wondering what is the pivot point and why did you make the blockchain investment decision before the cryptocurrency taking off? Eugene?
Okay, let me volunteer. So yeah, we started investing in blockchain actually pretty early on, 2013. We invested in the biggest exchange, crypto exchange in Taiwan right now. So that was back in 2013. So sitting from as an investor in equity for many years, look at the crypto space, very, very exciting. But also, the previous panel, a lot of people actually, the last time when I organized a panel in here also, but the discussion quickly get to trading. It's very natural. That maybe 3 months ago was very high, so it's like making money. That's pretty simple. So with this reset in the big picture, my personal view is it's a great time. I think from a few ways to look at it, the big picture. So if you previous panel, the moderator asked you, today you buy 50 cents, tomorrow you sell 75 cents, and then the day after you sell at $1. That kind of thing, I think for sure, 100% for sure, it will stop. It doesn't make sense. Nobody can make this kind of money in a pattern, in a lasting way. So I think my personal view is about the market is it is getting to a build time phase. The quick money has been made. From back to the 90s, right? If all the IPO companies they have eyeballs, but very quickly investors realize eyeball has to connect to value creation. I think that there's no exception here. This is the same. Going forward will be the same. Although in the opportunities, I participate in quite a few ICOs, tokens. I do get a pulse on the market. Clearly, right now we are in the reset mode, and then the next phase is building companies, creating value. Another data point is I've seen so many companies they run community. Right? I think Telegram, all that stuff. I think the next chapter is going to be you need to do more. If you build a company creating value, you need to do more than Telegram community. I think a lot of companies just are happy with building community. That's not enough. I think it's a great new thing. It should be more than that, and also more than checking code. The previous speaker also mentioned checking code. Maybe 3 months ago, just checking code is good enough. Have a new release to pump your stock and the tokens up, not stock. So that was, I think, I just don't believe the next phase will be like you're checking the code. I'm an engineer, checking code. What does it mean? How does it tie to the product and create customer traction? I mean, just checking code, the token could just jump. I think it does not make too much sense. But I think that the market is going to get into the next phase.
Rong have.
So, Sky9, we focus on China investments. We raise about $200 million every 3 years or so. And we deploy about $500 million in China over the last 10 years. And so far it's been a small fraction in crypto, less than 10%. And when we first heard about it, on one of these trips to the Valley back in 2013 about the Bitcoins, it was something that I remember it was, you couldn't really sleep. It was so exciting that you want to get into it. And we looked into that space in China 2013 and made our first investment into BTC China, which is back then was the only and the largest exchange in China. After that, if you really think about it, the obvious area to invest were with wallets. and we made the investment, early investment to a company called blockchain.info, which is right now the biggest wallet company in the world, with over 5 million active users around the world. And we also did ABTC, which is a media company, the largest media player in the space. We did PeerSafe, which is a blockchain-based technology firm focused on security for the corporate. And we've done a number of those things over time. But I would be frank, we didn't expect the ICO market to take off this quickly. I think that it's less of the Bitcoin pricing, it's more the ICO market that kind of created this boom. And for sure, this is sort of a bubble-ish kind of situation. I think that's should be pretty certain. But at the same time, we're quite excited because now the mass venture market, entrepreneur market, is looking at blockchain as a fundamental technology to enable their infrastructure build out or their application build out. So really look at the intersection of real businesses and using blockchain. I think that so far most of the ICOs, I would say, majority of them are businesses that haven't done really well in the traditional sense. They raise money with token sales, with the promise of something, but most of them have not demonstrated a sustainable business. But I think going forward next year or two, there'll be more, perhaps businesses that have been demonstrating sustainable growth in business models, leveraging tokens, and I think that's where it can be even more exciting.
Yeah, a follow-up question on that. As you invest in some of the blockchain company, and then if they issue a token or they have a token round, what is your perspective? Are you pushing your portfolio into a token round, or you are supportive when are you gonna put like crypto money into when they raise the next token round? What's your perspective on that?
I mean, my quick answer is it really depends. I mean, I think certain companies actually it's better to at least do the ICOs later. You may be able to use tokens first, but no sense of pushing to the mass market and create certain hype around it. So timing is important. Too, not every business needs a token or blockchain, right? So I think business where there's strong interaction with consumers, strong community effects, perhaps closed loop environments where a token can be used as a utility for some sort of value within that community. I think those are perhaps the first area where we'll explore. But we're not, in general, we're not pushing all CEOs to do it. I think a lot of our CEOs are the ones that have been really, operating scalable businesses, real businesses in some ways. I think a lot of them are still in the learning phase over the last 6 months. So, we'll see how they kind of navigate the next couple of years.
So let me quick follow on that. About maybe 6 weeks ago, I had a visitor from China, a high-level executive, telling me, "Hey, you have done so many investments, over 150, although you have 3 unicorns in your portfolio, but hey, this is the opportunity. You shouldn't sleep. You should ask your companies to go and just batch process and let them go." I see. Okay, so I think that was a great tip. But seriously, I did review all our portfolios, around 150 of them. Really, quite a few are really good match. I really believe the token economy, many speakers earlier mentioned, but there's a natural fit. It's definitely not a fit for everyone, but for many, like multiple party audience, fans, that kind of company, it's good to fit. But the difficulty usually is, how to design it natively, right? Instead of just go and try to raise some money, but you have to look at it in a long-term, sustainable way. So we do encourage a lot of companies to do that, but it's not easy. When you have a company called 改造型, it's difficult. You have an existing business, you have to put into it. It's not easy, but it's because the time window shifts, all that. So 3 months ago, definitely you should go out quick. So there's some tiny window. If you can raise the money, coming back to fix things, that become a new model. Right? It's all ICOs is all setting a future, about setting a future, and then people buy, and then you have the resources to build it. But a lot of people cheated and scammed, took the money and go away. But really, it should encourage people sell their dream and get a resource and build it, right? Otherwise, you cannot make your dream, realized. So that's my take. Encourage a company with good natural fit with this type of token economy and try to do this. Of course, things are changing, so you have to adapt to the current environment. Yeah, but still, I'm positive on this.
I can share some of our perspective. Even though in Q3 and Q4, we as exchange, we also invest more than 10 ICOs. We also try to launch some tokens in our exchange, but end of the day, we only choose very few tokens. Why? Because we believe, even in the high time, we believe most of the token, the price, the valuation does not support its own valuation. Even though right now we call community economics. We have tokens who are supported by a big community. But we say that most community members, most of them are we call newbies, or in Chinese called 小白. They have no idea of what token it is. They have no idea how to sell the token. At the end of the day, they lost money. They become we call 韭菜, right? So even though we call community economics, even though you call there are lots of supporters, but in the end, still the big VCs or some of the investors right here, they have big punch of the stakes and they sell it, then the price drop. And most of the newbies, they lose money. So nobody will get into the circle and the price will not jump anymore. So that's I think one of the biggest issues in current economy.
And then that issue can be solved by the fundamental technical development and the continuously community building activities, right? So, and question for Henry as a crypto fund, what is your thoughts on, so in speaking of trading, do you have your thesis in trading? Because most of the crypto funds that I work with, they all have a in-team trading arm to maximize their the gain of the crypto assets that they've been investing, right? So, what is your strategy?
I'm sorry, I still don't have the trading arm. No. But I want to tell something about the equity fund and the crypto fund, the difference. And I heard that you said the most common is that to get ICOs, but years ago it's equity companies. But I say that the token fund and the equity fund, I think, is indispensable parts of outstanding crypto. I mean that as I know that most several equity funds has funding to running fundraising to set up a crypto fund. On the other side, we already raised a equity fund of US dollars. I think there's a trend that the trend behind this is, I think, very simple, because neither the equity fund and the crypto fund is not perfect. It's perfect. I think because equity fund is a manner of acquiring with many years development, and it assure investors' interest and startups' passions, but it has obviously the weakness, the low liquidity. Yeah. So I think I remember that the lockup period from 3 to 5 years or 10 years, that is too long for LP to wait. But what token token fund to raise mainstream token. What is not only to solve the tradable, make it tradable, but also to solve the low liquidity problem. But I think the point is that for now the companies or not the startups or the companies, no matter what the equip company or the crypto company, they all I think the problem is that some excellent startups don't have are not good at managing the secondary market. So I think too early to get ICOs or get tokens are now the too high risk for them. Yeah, but if the quality of the you have a special quality of the companies, that means you have massive users, and I think it may be a better way to issue tokens. But I think the last thing I want to say, the crypto or the equip fund of the company, I think they will exist together in the future. Not all the ISO companies or the equip companies. I think it's only the manner what you use to get money or to spend money.
So let me quickly add a few viewpoints. I think not on trading side, but really look at the investment side. With the token economy, I think back to the last panel, also tied to the future asset-backed tokens. I clearly see the token got me excited is, for example, a venture fund has a very long illiquid period. I think with token economy, clearly the world is moving in that direction. So instead of just looking at the trading for short-term and leave, that which will be left for professional traders, right, to kind of make a business out of this asset class. But we are more looking at the future of potentially this is the company we invest. Maybe have a new vehicle to achieve early liquidity. This is for sure a benefit to all the community or the investor communities. So that's the angle we look at it long term. It will be a future. Someday you invest. A lot of investors to speculate, which is not necessarily a bad word. And then for early backers to generate partial liquidity, if they choose to invest long term, they can do so. But today, that is not possible. So that is a lot of positive things can happen in this kind of asset class.
In point of trading arm, I don't think that's the right way for VC or token fund to have a trading arm. Even though I know lots of people in this industry, they own it, including you guys, have a trading arm. Because it's really professional and also the volatility is so high. I think even the traditional, as some traditional security professionals, they get into the industry, they couldn't do it well. So I think still, even though quantitative trading, that's very good in the traditional security industry, but even though also lots of people think right here in the token industry, the blockchain industry, the quantitative or trading arm that's also provide liquidity. But still, from our perspective, we try to do it. And also almost virtually all the exchange try to use their APIs to manipulate the price by their own trading arms. I think virtually all the exchanges are doing so. But still, end of the day, they couldn't do it well. I think the key issue right here still, one is the value of the company itself, two, the liquidity. Liquidity is produced not by investors, I think by the people, by the community. As you mentioned, as you said just now, you have to keep increasing your community, keep increasing the number of people who can support you. But even though you have lots of people support you, they still don't know how to trade. They don't know how to buy or how to sell. If they lose money, they couldn't. Your price will drop and the valuation will go down. I think that's one of the key issues. They don't know how to trade right here. They don't know how to do it. The newbies, new users, the community members don't understand how to make money out of it.
Okay. Yes. We don't have the training up, but we already think about this problem that if you need why we trade, if we invest item, a project, so why we trade? That may be the answer that we want to get more profit, right? But if we want to get more profit, I think now exchanger is the best choice. Now the trading arm, you just open exchanger, you can get the best profit. So I would like to say that if you invest the asset, a vehicle asset of a project, that means you know the value of this project, and you also know when you buy and when you sell. So even though the price drop too much on the secondary market, but you believe that it will raise. So in my opinion, that you want to go for the if I invest an item that we believe that means we will take it for many years until it will build an ecosystem or anything that's too bigger.
But there's also some black swan events, like let's say if the core technology of this team, they outsource to the other ones to develop it on behalf of them, which means they're not developing the fundamental technology. And then at that time, if you hold, let's say 5% of a coin, how do you still gonna, like what is your strategy to facing this issue when your portfolio, if you are a long only blockchain fund, crypto fund? Do you still gonna be supportive for them, or what is the strategy?
Okay, so I think that's just the new phenomenon. In the past, from my perspective, investor, you don't have such an opportunity often. You are dealing with, luckily, when a company went public, then you have a portfolio company, for example, whatever the unicorns, they go public, and then you have the shares in the company which are liquid. In many cases, they are not. So I think that's the same strategy. I think for many established VC funds, you need to have a strategy to say, hey, also like a lot of tax issues, but you have to say, how do I hold it? Do I sell it? Do I sell half? It's kind of similar thing, but just usually or in the past, it's always considered a bigger milestone has been achieved. So the mission for a VC fund, kind of accomplished when they go public, right? So not many people talk about, what's the strategy going forward, although it's really good for pure financial strategy. The investment period, coming from public, maybe you are out of the board, or maybe you are, so that kind of a thing. So, but really in the crypto space, it's really new. The company going ICO, they are, maybe many of them has yet to deliver a product. So that is interesting. I haven't thought about your question, how do you should support it, help the company, I think. But with so many token holders, I mean, it's really not I think definitely the investor's role will decrease a lot, maybe 1/10. Everything from the numbers I have seen, right? So it's that if you own one company 10% in the token economy, at the best you own 1%, 1/10, right? That's the way you see it. You hope the company can tokenize to generate 10x the acceleration, right? That's for example the previous thing we talked about. Why the company need to tokenize, right? Okay, so you are aiming for I need to give more benefits to my community instead of have Facebook or the a lot of monopoly companies reap all the benefits. I want to have these benefits, give it to more of my community. That's how the economics works. I think it's not like suddenly, just everybody can make quick money. So I think that is a new thing evolving, running a community supporting the investor's role. I think kind of reduced, and also maybe the VC industry itself will go through a lot of fundamental change. I clearly see the thing to ask, the VC, are they really kind of without them, nothing will work? Maybe the world will move into a more crowdfunding way, that is, they play only selective, the team selection and help, and then the rest, their role will reduce. At least in my view, it will reduce a lot. So it's not like the company do or die 100% depend on the investor anymore. I think that's my view.
In fact, I kind of agree with him. Particularly, he said the checking code. I think it's relating to issue with the company. Outsource their technology to some experienced persons, experienced teams. I mean, checking code itself, it doesn't matter at all. Technology itself, of course, it's very important. But in the decentralized token economy, token blockchain industry, I think the most important is still how decentralized your token, your shareholder, your token holders. End of the day, it's still community. I think it's still how many supporters you have. I think from our perspective, we care about liquidity. And liquidity has been produced by investors, but most not from investors. Liquidity are from the users, from the common people, from the newbies. So that's why we saw the problem, and that's why we are trying to solve this problem by releasing a second generation exchange, particularly for newbies. They don't want they don't need so many KYCs, they don't need to understand so many metrics, they don't need to understand the code itself at all. They only want to know what's the lowest price right now. They will only want to create like one tab to create a wallet and one tab to buy or sell their assets. They also want to know some simple strategies to manage their assets, the crypto assets. I think that's what we are doing. In fact, we are working with the best exchange technology provider in China. It's called ChainUp, and we joint venture to launch our product end of April. It's called Buy Up, B-I-Up, which means buy up. So that's for newbies, that's for everyone, including for our investors.
Great. I think we come into a conclusion of this panel, either from traditional investors or from crypto fund or from exchange sides. We all want to look into the fundamental of the technical development of the company and also how they grow their community. And then we are basically very, very positive in this industry. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you guys.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone. On the last